Hi guys, welcome to the latest podcast of YarninBlak. Today I'm with a great mate, Justin Grant. I'll introduce you to him in a second. But first I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I'm currently calling you from. I'm here in Balwyn Q on the land of the Wurundjeri people. I'd like to pay respect to the elders past, present and emerging and acknowledge any other Aboriginal people that are joining us today. But first I'm going to introduce you to Justin. Hi Justin.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit who you are, where you're from.
So I'm a Walrpiri, Gurunji and Jawoyn man here up in the Northern Territory. So I'll pay respects to the Larrakia mob up here and their ancestors past and present as well. So I am an actor, writer, director, and I've been in films, I've directed films, I've written films. I run my own film company now called YarninBlak Entertainment, and I've been around for a while now.
Cool. So you grew up in the Northern Territory,
yeah,
and you came to Melbourne to study at VCA, if I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
So what did you enjoy about coming to Melbourne?
Well, coming to Melbourne, I think it was the opportunity. Like, you could just be anything you wanted, and that's something that I never grew up with because we're very limited up here. And to the fact that I could be an actor, go in the modeling or go in and make films and all of that. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I just love the experience of having that freedom.
Yeah. What was the culture shock like arriving in Melbourne from Darwin? And before that, you're living in pretty remote.
Because I live pretty remotely, we watched a lot of things on TV and America stuff, and then when I went down to Melbourne, I was like, oh, this is like America, and I never saw big tall buildings before, and trains and trams and all of that. It was kind of overwhelming because there's so much information coming in, and you pick up on different energies and different people, and kind of exhausted you a lot, So we were wrecked by midday.
So growing up in Northern Territory at school, went to boarding school. What cultural protocols did the school follow to ensure that students like yourself felt safe while they're actually away from community?
Well, I think a lot of the teachers at our school would be prepared for the Indigenous kids before they came in when it came to ceremony times. And because during that time, you got 13, 14-year-old boys who were starting school, and they had to prepare for them to go through ceremony. So they had, so when the kids would be taken away, they knew about it so it wouldn't look like neglect, because in the system, kids not turning up to school for a long period of time, it could reflect badly on the parents when the parents are actually upholding their cultural responsibility to these kids. So the teachers were taught that and were allowed to be able to let that process happen. And there was big changes up here. Yeah.
What do you think the biggest issues that are actually still occurring in Northern Territory that really need to be addressed on that state level?
Finding a voice, when I starred and co-directed Our Voice, Our Heart, which is a documentary about the up and coming referendum and that. The referendum was up and coming at the time.
Yeah.
we went around to all the different communities and we talked to different tribal members to ask their opinion on what they thought about the yes vote and the no vote. And it was really interesting to listen to what the tribe said. And that was like they feel like the government is letting them down
Yeah.
because they make these promises to these communities and they never follow through. Or they come in and, that one time and get the community mob excited about these changes, and then it never happens. So the thing that needs to change is not, upholding your word when it comes to talking to community. Do not say things within community if you're not going to follow through, because we've heard it too many times and we want to see action in place. The community mob have been talking about the housing and trying to figure out, come on, we need more housing, we need better houses, and we need our housing mob to step up. And like, because we got people struggling over here, we got 10 different 10 members, family members staying in a 3-bedroom house.
Mm.
We need bigger housing. That's the biggest concern up here. And mainly, if the children out in the communities help flourish their creativity, help getting them back in the culture, help them in Western society, and adapting, because they have a responsibility in two different worlds, and it's tough for these younger generation. So helping them transition as well, I think, would be a really big help for the people up here. Mm.
I want to ask you a question. I know when you went to VCA, you would have learnt writing and directing and acting.
Mm.
Do you have a favourite?
A favorite?
Favourite writing, directing, or acting? A mixture of both, or all of the above?
Oh, as an actor, I always liked Johnny Depp. Always loved him.
Yeah.
And later on, I learnt a lot more from Heath Ledger as an
Yeah.
actor. But then writing and directing, I actually don't necessarily like. I love my Martin Scorsese, and I love Quentin Tarantino was one of my favorite. Love Spielberg, but when it came to my own writing, it's I wanted to be original. I don't
Yeah.
want to. I don't want to like look at a film and then unconsciously absorb it, and take on and accidentally create a film sort of similar to it. My
Yeah.
approach was always, I need to find my own way in making films. So then I created a film called A Piece of Us,
Yeah.
which was my graduating film from VCA, and it won uh, 19 awards over in America,
Wow.
from Los Angeles, California, New York. A lot in California. But it became pretty big over there. Mm.
Were you able to go over there to promote it and get the awards?
Unfortunately, it was during COVID.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they weren't doing any flights, but yeah, they would have if I could have. It would have been cool to be put up at Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I won the award there. But no, I was. I well, during the COVID time, it was actually prime time to show my short film, because the first time in America they were accepting overseas films.
Yeah.
So a few of the companies would only do locals. So it was the first time that an Indigenous film could be shown overseas. So I was lucky to get in, and it was only because of COVID.
Now, I know a lot of people will be watching the podcast going, I think I know him from somewhere.
Yeah.
And you actually recorded some videos for Mental Health First Aid a number of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you remember about those films? Anything?
Well, actually, I told you this before, but I do really want to share this story.
Yeah.
So during that time, I was actually going through a really rough time in my life. So the story is about like this young boy, Tyler, I think it is. Yeah, and his cousin had passed away, and he was suffering with wanting to commit suicide himself because his cousin committed suicide, and eventually he meets Uncle Greg Fire in the film, and he helps him get out of it and teaches him to go into like the support networks and all of that, So during this film, I actually never had never had tattoos in my life. So I've never, because I wanted to be able to act and all of that. After this film, I got my first tattoo, and the reason why I got that tattoo is because, like the story of Tyler, before this making this film, my cousin had committed suicide, and I was dealing with the grief of that. And I, like Tyler, was feeling the same way he felt. And I remember trying to get through it. It was a tough time for me, but um, it was tougher more so as well because I had an eviction notice. My power had turned off in my house, and I had lost my cousin to suicide. So I was in a real dark place. And then I remember I was just like, I got signs that were like, keep going, from my cousin, and I was like, okay, no worries. What am I going to do now? I got no power on in my house. I was like, all right, well, I got a barbecue. I'll cook up everything in my fridge and before it goes off. And then I was like, I've been wanting to make a film. And at the time, I didn't know how to make film. So I asked my friend if he could help me. And I got to work and wrote my first screenplay. Um, Actually, yeah, on my $200 laptop that I had to charge at the library because I didn't have any power on in my house. So I charge it up at the library and do a little bit of work there and do a little bit of work at home. And that was my first script that eventually got me into, VCA to study my master's in writing and directing for film and TV later on.
The other character you played, you mentioned Tyler. The other one was Will.
Well, oh, sorry. Just real quickly. So I mentioned in the thing that I got my first tattoo. This is a tattoo that I got.
Cool.
It's of my cousin's name, and it says "I got your back." That was the first tattoo that I bought with that suicide prevention video.
Yeah.
Which is my cousin who passed away, and I thought, it was I gotta have her with me all the time. Anyway, sorry, what were we saying?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, because you did two films. You did one as Tyler and one as Will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was great. But what's your future plans at the moment in terms of writing or directing or acting?
Well, at the moment, I've so that, like we all know, the industry can be a little bit up in the air. So at the moment, I'm kind of juggling up my, job in the mines. So I work in the mines at the moment, and my film career. I'm writing a feature film at the moment. I can't give too much details away, but it's based on a true story. And yeah, it's excited about it. I haven't written a feature film since that time now that I spoke about when I had no power on the house.
Yep.
Yeah, but now I got a $9,000 laptop.
Whoa.
I moved up in the world.
Flash black now, boy.
Hey,
It's flash black now.
yeah, living it up now. So yeah, no, I just want to. So I'm currently finishing off the second draft of that, and then we start shopping it around to some film companies. We have been getting a lot of interest from a few film companies that want to get involved. So until I know, we'll let you know.
Yeah, cool.
Hmm.
You also mentioned you set up your own entertainment business.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. What made you think this is what I want to do?
So after I finished my masters in writing and directing, I actually wanted to, I was like, oh, I got this degree. I had it in a little box. It wasn't until my missus, sorry, my missus was like, hey, I said, yeah, I got a master's degree. And she was like, what? Where is it? And I showed her it. And immediately she framed it the next day for me. And then I was like, because at the time when I graduated, I was dealing with looking after my brothers, and I didn't really think about, what to do with this degree. So then I was like thinking to myself, oh yeah, maybe I'll do a contractor, be a subcontractor and help people out like that. And then my missus was like, no, you should turn it into a business. So she actually helped set it up for me, website and all. So like it was really cool to see it come into fruition. And yeah, and then entered it in and won an up and coming business award that was on NITV. So I was yeah, pretty stoked. Mm.
A couple of questions I'm going to ask you. Cultural safety is a big word that's often thrown around.
Mm.
What does cultural safety mean to you? And what makes you feel culturally safe when you go to organizations?
Well, see, there are different things, like there are cultural safety things that makes me feel safe when I go to communities, and that's I don't even need to be put in a situation where I have to speak about culture with other communities. It's just something that I do inherently, which is if I go to somebody else's land, I have to find the elder of that land, and I have to speak to them, and then ask permission, and just talk to them about me coming onto their land and respecting their ways. I'm not here to, come teach my culture without your permission. So I always do that no matter where I go, and it's even up here in the Northern Territory. If I'm over in Arnhem Land, I'm saying the same thing. I'm touching base with the elders and I'm talking to them, and I tell them the same thing. I'm not here for a thing. Any disrespect, and I respect you more, and I know you more, got different ways. I'm not here to project my culture onto you, and because a lot of the time I'm going there for filming, and and I gotta be respectful to them more. So I do that wherever I go, and that's how I feel culturally safe, because then, while I'm on their land, they let me know what I can and can't do. So I understand the rules of what I can and can't do. Because I don't want to overstep their boundaries, but I don't want to overstep my own culture's boundaries. Because if I'm doing traditional dances not properly, then I will get, you know, I will. It's very bad for my people. My people will disown me, or you know, I could end up getting speared. And that's how severe it can get. Like if I'm doing things the wrong way for my tribe down here and down there, then you know, I'm completely got no cultural stance. I can't go through ceremony. I can't do anything, you know. And so you have to tread carefully when you're down in other people's lands.
Reconciliation's another big word that gets thrown around a lot. What does reconciliation mean to you?
Reconciliation. What is reconciliation? I'm not sure. It's kind of tough now. We, reconciliation. You know, some people. I don't know. For me, reconciliation. If it's for me, I just think people and humanity.
Yeah.
That's all I think is just being human.
Yeah.
There was a story that I carry with me from when I was younger. An elder come up to me and he just said to me, "I want you to carry this, boy, and you have to remember this um, and take this with you." And I was like, you know, young, and I was like, okay. And he said, "Look, no matter what color skin you have, we all have the same color heart. We all bleed the same, and we all go through the same pain. So don't ever think you're different to other people. And you make sure that other people, you know, treat you like them." So I think reconciliation is understanding the humanity of humans. No separation, no black, no white. No, he's done this, she's done that. You know, it needs to be walking together as people who understand we're not fighting for a race, we're fighting for humanity. We're fighting to be human, you know? And that was kind of like back in the day when they had to fight for Aboriginal people to be seen as human.
Yeah.
And now we're human in a society that has all these laws and legislations, yet we're trying to say diversity. You know, we're breaking ourselves up by saying our pain is more than you guys, and we feel this, and that's how come, and it's all your fault, and all this stuff, you know, and people, and that can block out people that want to help, you know, and people who want to try and help you, and you're filled with all this anger, and rightfully so, you know, because of the trauma in the past. Yeah, it rightfully so. But in moving forward, you got to understand that you're in the position because of the elders that fought before you. You're able to speak right now because of the elders that fought before you. You have a voice where they didn't. So understanding that you got to respect them by speaking properly and understanding their side and working together to create progress. You can't come in. I always say, you know, you can't beat racism with a bit of heart. You can't carry that pain and expect to change the world. You got to understand your pain and release it, and then talk from a strong Aboriginal stance. So reconciliation to me is moving forward as humanity, moving forward as human, understanding we all bleed the same, and that it's okay to let other people feel sorrow for you, but also feel happy for you. Does that make sense?
I love that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Question: what makes it a person a good ally to Aboriginal people?
Well, you know, there are a lot of good allies. You know, not gonna mention thing, but there was a thing right like I did a march down in Melbourne, and when I did this march, I'm not gonna mention any names or anything, but when I did this march and we went and we camped out, a lot of Aboriginal and white people were camping out, and a lot of mixed different races were camping out. And when we were camping out, you know, um, I noticed that there was fires for the Aboriginal mob, and then there was fires for the white mob and the other mob that come. And I spoke to my WA friends down there, and I spoke to, sorry, yeah, and yeah, so I spoke to the all them mob, and I said, look, you got this separation. Why are you mob separating? And they said, oh, because we don't really get the chance to sit around with Aboriginal, like us as Aboriginal people, and to be equally together. So we're trying to take that time. And like I said, respectfully, you can take that time on your own when you want to do it around your family. Right now, you cannot separate these people. They marched and they're camping out with us. You need to bring them over here and they need to sit with us. And then they said, all right, Justin, give us half an hour. And I said, you got half an hour, but then them mob have to come over here. And then half an hour went past, and I said, go on, go grab them. And they bring all the mob around. And we sat, all mixed races, all around this fire. And we talked stories. And then I said, see this right now? This is the future. Yeah. This is what we're fighting for. No separation. We're all in this together, sitting around this fire. This is what we're fighting for in Australia. Is that? Yeah.
Good, yeah. Now, racism's a big thing. We know that it exists. I've got a question for you. Is there a time that you have experienced racism? How did it make you feel? What did you do?
Well, I experienced a lot of racism. Being up here, there's a different type of racism because I'm, light-skinned Aboriginal. So I was actually picked on by a lot of the blackfella Aboriginal, the full-blood Aboriginal people used to pick on me. I used to get in the fights all the time. They used to call me yellow fella, which is yellow fella. And they used to say I don't have culture, and and used to put me down, and then you got the younger mob that were going through ceremony. They used to pick on me as well because I didn't get the chance to go through ceremony. And then so that's one side of racism up here. But then when I went down to Melbourne, it was actually I used to get criticized when I first went down in 2008 about the clothes I was wearing. If I was wearing flashy clothes, it was white fellas like laughing and they're saying, "Oh, who does this bloke think he is?" And then I had to face the industry racism as well.
Yeah.
But when it came to it, I would ask my grandfather, who was an English fella from London. He fell in love with my Aboriginal grandmother, and they've been together like for 40 years. And they had challenges with their own kids and how to face that racism. And so I went through a stage of like trying to understand, because I had my English side of the family down in there in Melbourne, and they actually helped me transition into Western society, coming from a bush background. And they knew about my culture and how we grew up, because we took them out hunting when they come up. We'd take them out and we'd show them our culture, so they knew where we came from. And then I met other people, and they were telling me, other Indigenous people, and because of the hurt that they went through, they were very, angry at the white people, and and I couldn't really feel that because I got my white family who love and support me. I cannot really say bad about them, you know. So I was kind of caught up in these two worlds, and it was like they would say, oh, you're a black fella. I said, yeah, I'm English as well. Oh, nah, forget that side of you. I'm like, but they're both part of me, and they both have strong sense of, where I was moving forward, and I said I don't want to create division between the two parts of me, so I I was struggling with that, and I said to my uncle, my English uncle, I said, I'm struggling with my identity, and I'm struggling with me being Aboriginal in this society and all that. And he said, I'm going to tell you a story. One time, your grandfather and your grandmother, were arguing, and they were having an argument, and they, the, my grandfather now, my English grandfather, said to my Aboriginal grandmother, "What do you want to be? Do you want to be black or do you want to be white?" And she turned around and said, "I just want to be me." And that was the end of the argument. And I was like, "Yeah, I get that." It's like, why do I have to be one or the other? Why can't I just be me? And that's how I approached my career, my life, my writing, my storytelling, is a sense of, you know, and that kind of defined me in a sense when it came to my work. Because now people look at my work and they're like, oh, that's a Justin film,
Yeah.
you know? That's not like, oh, that's a black fella film, or that's a thing, that's a Justin film. Because I made it mine, because
Yeah.
the only thing I can be is me. And that's all I want to come across as.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can describe yourself in 3 words, how would you describe Justin?
Me, three words. Jeez. Storyteller, story holder, and warrior.
Wow. They're 3 pretty big things
Hmm.
in culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
You, there's a lot of new talent coming through in young Aboriginal kids. Is there any you've got bets on are going to do really well in the future? Anyone we should keep our eyes out on?
Um, there is a there's a Jacob. I don't even know how to say his name. Jacob Tujum. He's doing really well. So proud of him. He's been on Brumby Kids. He's been on, what is it? What's that thing? The High Ground, and he's doing great stuff. I'm looking out for him. Can't wait to see more of his film. Can't actually wait to have him in one of my films.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of new ones coming out, but it's kind of like coming pretty quick. Like it's almost like a certain period of time. There's like more of these young Aboriginal females as well that are just like killing it lately. That lovely lady, a lovely girl on, Firebite, I think it is,
Yeah.
on SBS with that Warwick Thornton did. She's doing really great, and she's got a big career. Lovely, lovely girl. there's there's a few people that are coming up that trying to. There are people that I love and respect that are coming up, but kind of breaking away from the acting side now. So I'm like trying to get them back in.
Yeah.
But I really want um, Dubs Unupingu.
Yep.
She's a great little actress from Arnhem Land who acted in Brumby Kids as well, and has done a lot of acting and modeling down in Sydney. She's a great talent. I really would love to see her in more films. But yeah.
Just a couple of final questions. One, if I could give you $1 zillion and a
Mm.
magic wand, which I do have here, you can borrow my magic wand,
Yeah.
and you could fix something in Aboriginal affairs anywhere in Australia, what
Mm.
would you do?
Well, if I could get $1 zillion, the first thing I'd do is go into the communities up here, and I would help them buy the houses that they need out there to help support their families. And because the housing crisis up here in communities are really bad, and they're struggling up there. So I'd love to go in, help them do that, and also help them try to get back to their culture again, and empower them back into their culture when other people come in, to actually set up a space for cultural exchange and protection with people who come in. And then the second thing I'd do is help build the medical system up here. Like the medical and the hospitals up here in Darwin are really bad. We got people in critical situations that have cancer and not being seen for a month
Yeah.
before they can, and they got critical cancer and they can't be seen for a month. So help the hospitals and the system up here to better support the communities that have to fly down south just to get the proper medical service. But I would love the medical service to be up here, everything available for. Yeah, that's where I probably invest most of my money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question I've got is, what would you like people to walk away with from today, from our yarn today?
Well, hopefully, everybody can understand my side, and understand when I speak, I'm only speaking from my experience. You know, I'll never speak on behalf of any other Aboriginal communities or tribes. You know, it's not my right. I speak on behalf of my experience, my tribal experience, and what I went through. Don't take this as a thing that can be generalized. Understand that when every story and every journey is different for other Aboriginal people, and um, in order for an Aboriginal person to speak about culture and where they come from, they need to speak from their experience, because that way they can speak truthfully. We can't answer all your questions because um, sometimes it might be tribal. If you are on my land up here, I'll tell you all the questions you want, show you around. You know, there's only certain things I can share, and I yet have to get permission from people of that country to share them stories. So I understand culture is different. We, but one thing that all us Aboriginal have is a loving heart. We got a big heart, and we welcome a lot of people in. It's just all about taking that time to sit with us and just listen. Don't talk, just listen, and then bit by bit we'll open up and we'll share our experiences with you. Treat them with respect, but understand when we share our stories but they're not for you to take to someone else. They're only for you to listen to.
Beautiful. I want to say thank you very much for joining me today on the podcast. It's been a while to get you on, but I'm so glad I got you on.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you.
Hopefully I didn't disappoint you.
No way. So, guys, I'll see you at the next podcast. And thanks, Justin, for joining us.
Thanks for having us.